Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Tuesday, the 17th of March. With McShane, we're reading through Paul's letter to the Galatians, today the 3rd chapter. And in verse 2, he says, I would like to learn just one thing from you. Did you receive the Spirit by the works of the law or by believing what you heard? Now the Galatians had come to faith, and the church was going well. And then some people had come, probably from Jerusalem, who were saying, no, but hold on, this Jesus was Jewish. This is a part of the Jewish religion. Therefore, you've got to keep the Jewish commands. You've got to live by the law. You've got to be circumcised. You've got to be Jewish. And Paul challenges them and says, hold on, you received the Spirit. You received all of that without the law. You received it by grace through faith. Why are you turning to the law now? Why do you think the law is going to make anything better? It's not. And he points out that even Abraham, the great father of faith, was justified and declared righteous because he believed God, not because he kept the law. And in verse 11, he goes on and points out, clearly no one who relies on the law is justified before God because, quotation, the righteous will live by faith. So he's saying even in the law itself, in the Old Testament, it says, the righteous live by faith. It's not the law, it's faith that makes the difference. And in verse 21, he says, is the law therefore opposed to the promises of God? Absolutely not. For if a law had been given that could impart life, then righteousness would certainly have come by the law. And so Paul is saying that the law wasn't given to give us life, it was given to guide our lives. Because if the law could have given us life, then that's all we would have needed. Just keep the law. The cross was unnecessary in that case. But we can't keep the law. And somebody said the best way to understand the law today is to say it's not a ladder that you improve yourself and you do better and better and better and climb closer and closer to God. Rather, the law is a mirror that as you look into it, you see yourself more clearly. You see your failures more clearly. You see your need for God more sharply. It comes into focus. And then you rely on faith and you call out to God. And we know that the righteous will live by faith. And we pray, strengthen our faith, Lord. And as you read through the scriptures, that becomes absolutely clear. In the New Testament, we are saved by grace through faith. That's our basis. And we have the law to guide our lives, not to make us righteous. So use the law, use what you read in the Old Testament, use the 10 Commandments, say, that's what my life ought to look like. That I need to become more like that, not so that I can be saved, but so that I can become the person God would like me to be. We use that as a mirror to inspire us, to challenge us, to shape us, but we rely entirely on God for salvation and the finished work of Christ on the cross. Be blessed.